everyone, I'm Tina. I'm a 200-hour certified yoga instructor, and I decided to make this video today about the Vinyasa. So there's 4 parts to the Vinyasa that I often see students have a lot of difficulty with. When I travel and take yoga classes, I often hear a teacher not even cueing the Vinyasa at all, very minimally, or not giving any modifications to students. So I wanted to break down the pose, each pose within the Vinyasa, modifications for them, and just to teach you what your body should be doing, especially to keep the shoulders really safe. So to start, we're going to find all fours for your tabletop hands and knees. Fingers should be spread really wide to get a nice surface underneath the palms. Then start by pressing the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling, creating a lot of space in the upper back area. Then I want you to do the opposite and release the shoulders down, kind of letting the belly hang down, almost like a cow pose. And then nice flat back, press the shoulder blades to the ceiling. And then release them, sink the belly and chest down, and just feel that difference. Pressing the mat away, you're finding that very hollow back. And without that, you're just not engaging the shoulders and not engaging the core. We'll see why that's important. So tuck your toes and find your first downward facing dog. Length of the stance might be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, depending on your body. Your heels do not need to be grounded down onto the mat. I want your tailbone to be as high to the ceiling as you can get it, so that might be a little bend in towards the knees. Then we're going to glide out, so I need to lengthen my stance out a lot for a plank pose. My shoulders are over the wrists, and then I'm going to lower knees down to the mat. So here's your modified plank. This could be step 1 if you're just working on building the strength for the Vinyasa. Part 2 is the low plank. Now this is where people tend to forget to puff the upper back out, and they tend to sink and lead with their belly. You don't want to lead with the belly. So puff the upper back area, and then bend the elbows just a couple of inches, and then straighten them back up. That whole time, belly is engaged up and in, and you're puffing the backs of the shoulders up. Exhale, find a little bend. Inhale, straighten the arms. One more like that. Exhale and inhale. And walk back to find a child's pose, releasing the wrists. Forehead can touch down to the mat. Adding on, come back to that modified plank pose. So toes are tucked, belly is hugging up. I'm pressing the mat away so the shoulder blades are really pressing towards the ceiling. I'm going to glide my weight forward. I'm going to lower no more than halfway. So right there, my arms are parallel. They're squeezing into my body. This is my low plank modified. Transition to your upward face dog by straightening the arms, letting the belly dip down, but belly and thighs are not actually touching the mat. It's just my knees and my toes. From here, you're going to lift to your downward facing dog. So that's your modified Vinyasa. You've got your knees grounded the whole time. It'll look a little something like this in real time. Low plank, upward face dog, downward face dog. So the tricky part comes when people don't want to drop their knees down, but they might not quite be ready to not have the knees grounded. So without the knees grounded down, you're in your traditional high plank pose. What happens is, as you say lower down to chaturanga or low plank, everything disengages and the knees and the hips sink really low. This isn't anything of a pose, and it can be really tough on the shoulders if you're then adding a little bit of a bend to try and get lower. So knees are straight, elbow creases are reaching forward. You've got a nice strong back. Glide a little forward. Maybe only bend the elbows a little bit. Now you have to transition the tops of feet. Allow the belly to sink down, but again, belly and thighs are lifted. And then from here, you roll or step over the toes to find your downward facing dog. So doing that in real time, you've got your plank, your low plank, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. So you'll start to build a lot of heat and maybe need to take off a layer, long sleeve to a tank top or short sleeves. Vinyasas build a lot of heat, which is what you want in a vinyasa class. Building the heat, warming up the muscles, preparing for later, more advanced poses. So I'm going to walk you through a Sun Salutation A, Surya Namaskar A, where the vinyasa is included. You start from standing at the top of your mat. Have some blocks on this medium setting. I'm going to give you an opportunity to know just how low to go in your low plank by using some of these blocks. So standing at the top of the mat, bring the toes to touch. The hands can be at heart center or just down by your sides. Take a couple of deep breaths here. And then moving with the breath. Inhale, the arms go high. Exhale, forward fold. Get the palms onto the mat here. Knees can be bent. So fingertips are just lightly grazing those blocks. Step each of your feet back to find that plank pose. So if the knees are grounded, the toes will stay tucked. Draw shoulders forward a bit, puff the upper back up, and bend elbows. So we're going no more than halfway. The blocks there are holding you from going all the way down. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Lift heels, bend knees, look forward. Step the feet to the top of the mat. Fold on the exhale. Inhale takes you all the way up to stand. Exhale, Samastitihi, hands to heart. I'll do that one more time with my knees grounded, and then I'll go right into it with my knees lifted so you can see both of them. And so that's the breakdown of the vinyasa. I always offer my students to lower their knees down to the mat. I lower my knees down to the mat a lot of times the very first chaturanga I do, and a lot of times if I'm in a pretty powerful class, I get tired and I don't want to get misaligned and lose my technique. So lowering the knees down definitely keeps shoulders safe and you're still doing the push-up. If you've got any questions at all, leave something in the comments or you can shoot me an email. See you later.